Welcome back. You're still watching the Afia Morning Show. This is the 65th anniversary Independence Special, of course, brought to you right here on Afia TV, on your favorite breakfast show, the Afia Morning Show. And I am Natalie Oku. I'm never here alone, even though sometimes I get scared I will be. But I'm here always with Oji Wachuku.
Get scared.
Let's take your phone calls. Those days when I call randomly, when I start to panic and it's raining heavily, cats and dogs. But at least you're changing gradually. Happy Independence to you. How are you doing?
That out here, right? Good morning. How you doing? Happy Independence Day. Happy New Month.
Happy New Month. Happy Independence. Happy third presidential broadcast on Independence Day.
Oh, yeah,
happy everything. And today is Wednesday, so that's a happy Wednesday to you as well.
Yeah. Well, it all falls on a day that we celebrate women, right? And we celebrate Nigeria too. But the question still borders around what are we celebrating, right? The parade was called off. I thought that maybe, like we stated yesterday, that maybe pockets of developments, economy stabilizing and all that we see now in the news every other day on the papers, right? That at least we could have celebrated that, done our parades and whatnot. But similarly, it was cancelled, and while the president, the broadcast always, promising and stating that we are on the right trajectory and all that. But are we meant to have that patience any longer? Because this is 2 years on right now. But it seems that all we've been seeing, hearing, you go down right there in the streets, there's no reflection of it.
I mean, that's the big question we'll be asking on today's show. As a matter of fact, I did sit down to watch that 7 a.m. broadcast. I continued to watch it. Of course, check the time. At about 7:20, I had to make a quick dash to the office. But yes, it was great to watch it and take that time to do it. And also hearing the signature tune, NCA. That was where it was broadcast primarily. So we're going to be assessing all of the remarks that the president made during the broadcast, the accomplishments that he cited, the challenges, and even the assurances, as he said, our administration is setting things right. The worst is over. We're not here alone to assess headlines, as we always do begin the show with, is, of course, Afia TV Head of News and Current Affairs, Mr. Alex Ogbodo, as well as producer, presenter, Afia Sports Show, CC Emebeche, Pastor CC Emebeche, and Mr. Alex. So good to have you both. Happy Independence.
Happy Independence. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Independence.
A big happy Independence to everybody out there, and Happy New Month.
Happy New Month.
Yeah, last final quarter of the year. I mean, I'm excited about that.
2025. I would akin it to Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
So pacey.
That's right. I mean, the theme for this Independence is all hands on deck for a greater nation. Mr. Alex, are all hands on deck?
No, all hands are not on deck.
Where are the hands then?
Some hands are just lounging, eating from the hands of people who are on deck.
So, monkey the work, baboon the job.
Yeah, that's what it is. Some people know that they are not working, especially those saddled with the responsibility of steering the ship of the nation. They know. So all this, they're just sloganeering.
All right. Mr. Alex, I have a feeling that you have some cryptic messages for us on the show today. So let's begin with the first daily, Nigeria at 65. Pray unite or risk collapse, can Mark warn. Clerics, statesmen urge visionary leadership as nation marks independence amid insecurity, economic strain. Power crisis looms as Dangote Penderson feud cuts 1,100 megawatts. Peter Obi demands security emergency after Okeode killings. APC to PDP, let Jonathan enjoy retirement, forget 2027. TUC slams Dangote refinery, stop putting profit above workers' rights. Earnings from runs girls taxable, declares federal government. NAFDAC withdraws 101 pharmaceutical products from market. Obasanjo, honest leaders, not miracles, will save Nigeria. FCT police probe death of Arise TV journalist Somi Maduago. On Voice of Liberty, Kwara killings, north on fire, south on edge, Nigeria facing genocide, Yoruba group warns. Jonathan's dismal record will haunt him in 2027, according to the presidency. Sex workers must pay taxes on their earnings from 2026, according to the federal government. Boko Haram attacks Borno community, burns district head's palace. Alleged Tinubu defamation planned by DSS to arraign Showore stalls. Now, Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso set to expose Nigerian politicians aiding bandits. NRC offers injured Abuja Kaduna train passengers free ride a week till December 31st. On the Punch, Nigeria at 65, the worst is over. Hope rising for Nigeria, according to President Tinubu. President lists 12 economic milestones of reforms, flaunts achievements in education, agriculture, health, others. Fuel queues resurface as Pengasin Dangote feud deepens. INEC chair, DSS screens nominees, Council of State to meet. On the Matrix, Nigeria at 65, stop speaking ill of Nigeria, according to President Tinubu. 65th anniversary is no small milestone. Nigerians will soon begin to enjoy prosperity. Dismisses genocide claim, says no religion is under siege in Nigeria. Ababio Abbas appeal for patience with Tinubu's reforms. Dangote refinery Pengasin's face-off, no end in sight. I've left politics now for all Ibadan, according to Olubadan to Atiku. Of course, take that again. I've left politics now for all Ibadan, Olubadan to Atiku. On the Daily Times, mixed reactions trail Nigeria at 65. Poverty rate in northern states above 60%. NNDC chairman speaks. Police probes murder of Arise TV reporter Maduwago in Abuja. Our critics can say what they like. APC has salvaged Nigeria, according to Tinubu. Pension fund set hits 25.9 trillion naira as 10.88 million workers enroll. ICPC arraigns two over 4.8 million naira forgery fake job scam. Aviation stakeholders decry policy failures, lack of national career.
Nigerian News Direct. Independence anniversary. The worst is over. Tinubu assures Nigerians, says reforms necessary to avert economic chaos. Bankruptcy. Over 5,000 persons benefit from youth empowerment scheme in Kanu. Jonathan's tenure delivered better living conditions to Nigerians, attributed to Bode George. Continental Corporation key to expanding tax base, tackling illicit funds, attributed to FIRS chairman. Lautech Teaching Hospital. Makinde approves 33 million naira subvention, 219 million naira arrears. Gateway International Airport marks new era of trade national dominance. Lastly, on Nigerian News Direct, power generation plunges to 3,200 megawatts amid Pengasin strike. Moving over to Vanguard. And right here, big infographics about Independence Day, Greater Nigeria, Tinubu building blocks. You can catch that right there on Vanguard. So, Dangote Pengasin darkness looms as electricity generation falls. Good governance. Igbo-speaking people from 8 states honor Soludo. Nigeria at 65. The worst is over. We have turned a new corner, says Tinubu. Says all hands should be on deck for nation building. Notes economy on rebound with 4.23% GDP growth, $42 billion reserves, lowest inflation in 3 years. Moving over to Nigerian Tribune, also infographics right there. A big one. Nigeria now on path to recovery. Tinubu assures as nation stands 65. Challenges naysayers to review, compare Nigeria's journey since 1960. I'm no longer a politician. Olubadan tells Atiku El-Rufai orders. Security operatives storm bandits camp in Kwara, kill many. Moving over to Daily Trust. Nigeria's journey in 65 years, celebrating Nigeria at 65, October 1st. A big infographics right there too. How Arise TV presenter died. 23rd dead in Kogi boat mishap. The worst is over, says President Tinubu. The last one right here, The Nation. As Tinubu lists 12 economic milestones, Greater Nigeria, Tinubu's building blocks. A big infographics right there. And let's say steps into Dangote Pengasin dispute. How Lagos Ibadan rail is redefining commerce. Owerri stands still for Uzodimma's book presentation. We will hunts down killers of Arise TV reporter. The last one right there.
All right, thank you, Oji, for those headlines. Quite interesting. And everything is just basically screaming what Tinubu remarked this morning. The worst is over. Our administration is setting things right.
And all hands on deck.
Yes, he didn't say that.
No,
but it's the thing. So, Mr. Alex, let's start with you. You said something quite cryptic at the beginning of the show, that all hands are not on deck. They are everywhere but on deck.
Yeah.
So I'd like you to respond to this.
So clearly, it's normal for governments to say that they are doing fantastic. So I don't expect President Tinubu to say otherwise. You don't expect any state governor who makes a broadcast to say how he's been dismal. Nobody in history who's in government, either local government, state, or federal, will go ahead and announce that they've done so terrible that, oh dear, you guys should pray for us. Nobody will say that. They might ask you to pray, but they will not admit they've done terribly. But clearly, there are things that Nigerians expect this government to do, but they've continued to do what they want to do, but the things that will help the people. I still maintain that coastal road they are constructing isn't an immediate need. You remember before they were constructing it, I was on this show and we said it. So what's going on is telling us, because some other roads in Nigeria are still in deplorable condition, but they are busy pumping all the resources to the Abuja-Calabar coastal road. It's that misplacement of priority that we're looking at. So you cannot say that you're doing fantastic, but the people you claim voted for you are not feeling it. It doesn't make sense. That's just what it is. Because if there's free Wi-Fi here, the only way to know that it's free is when I log on to it.
So let's look at some specific issues he raised in the broadcast. He started to reel out the 12 major milestones he mentioned during his administration, beginning with education. He mentioned the proliferation, not just within his current tenure, but from 1960 to date, that we have more secondary schools, we have more tertiary institutions, and of course that was his way of saying that education has witnessed a significant boost from 1960 to date. But then many have also begged the question, is it about the brick and mortar or about the quality of the students, the pupils being churned out? Where do we weigh this balance, Mr. CC?
Well, first of all, I think it's a deceptive ploy on the part of the presidency to even go to that line. Yes, quite all right. Nigeria is celebrating 65th anniversary today, independence anniversary, and sometimes I have mixed feelings about that. Listening to that broadcast, because normally in this part of the world, at the age of 65, you're deemed as a retired person. And I mean, emphasis on the word tired, hidden in that retired. So are we talking about Nigeria being tired at this stage? Tired of all the lies, tired of all the deception, tired of all the gaslighting, because that's basically what's been happening all this while. So going back to 1960, when education, because we already had some schools that were established then, but quite all right, yes, there's been the evolution of educational development in Nigeria and has had its bumps different times. But I would have expected that this presidency, this administration will focus on their own contributions towards education. And we've not really seen that much. Yeah, like you said, the brick and mortar is the focus, but the quality of the students, the quality of the students in the different sectors of education. I'm somebody who's passionate about education. I've gone to educational institutions before, and then you find out that all the way down from the elementary to the secondary to the tertiary institutions, we have a concern about the quality or lack thereof of students, pupils that are being churned out, unemployable. They can hardly string sentences together. I'm just generalizing right now. They can hardly string sentences together. You might say, okay, no, maybe is it English I'm talking about? No. English is not a measure of intelligence, but a language. I understand that. But you have to be able to communicate with the outside world and then show the quality of what you're learning. So it's not about the number of courses that are being taught. It's not about the number of students that are in the school, because at the end of the day, we have quotas, and then we know that, I'm sorry to say this, but it might not be substantiated, but the reality on ground is from reports that I've gotten from certain settings. You're looking at a number of students that should be passed out of a particular school, but they are bringing in maybe double, quadruple or so of those students, and then they find a way to fill out the rest just to make money. So really, I think it's just a case of pasting a red herring before everybody. We know that all is not particularly well in the educational sector, amongst other sectors. But that was what you raised. That's what I'm talking about. That.
Okay, I was going to throw up a question yesterday on the show. We juxtapose this and that, right? So, let's set the ball rolling from Nigerian Tribune. And Nigeria now on path of recovery. Tinubu assures as nation stands 65. Challenges naysayers to review, compare Nigerians' journey since 1960. Since this dispensation love to compare, let's juxtapose, as they stated too, talking about Goodluck Jonathan's dispensation and this dispensation, right? Now, let's break it down. Economy, security, and whatnot. Why I want to tag economy was because during the campaigns, right, President Tinubu was stated to recover our economy, while the Vice President Shettima is meant to focus on security right now. So let's just suppose these dispensation and what they've done thus far. You know, this is 2 years on, and that of Goodluck Jonathan, right, is 2 years into office, being the president of Nigeria. By the way, can you draw the parallel line now? Which was more viable? Are the APC government led by President Tinubu getting something right? Let's just be fair too. Are they getting something right here? And we're not just being overbearing, always tackling and bashing them, by the way. So let's just suppose this dispensation, they're 2 years on, and that of Goodluck Jonathan, since they love to compare.
No, thank you very much, Georgie, for raising that. I think we, at least thank goodness, we're all in contact with the average Nigerian. We are speaking the mind of the average Nigerian. Yes, we understand the fact that some people are better off than others. They can afford the basic amenities. I mean, Mr. Alex knows exactly what I'm talking about right now. The fact that sometimes you check, you're a father, for instance, a parent, you have schools, you have to take your children to school, you have to pay the school fees, you have to run around, you have to transport yourself, you have to pay your house rent, you have to take care of the basic amenities. And you know that all these things are affected by the economy and affected by the state of the nation from the economical perspective. And it's quite ironic that this same president was at the forefront of the Occupy Nigeria movement in 2012, yes, which was an attempt to undermine the then government of the then president, that's Goodluck Jonathan. Yeah, because I think Phil was being sold 65 naira at the time. So they tried to make it go down. Let's not even talk about that. When you start looking at the situation with the country and then the president and then what they've been doing, it's reminding me of the case of someone who says, I can do this better, and then steps in there and then sees how difficult it is to do what he's been criticizing the others for doing. Now, what you do is, when you get into that kind of situation, the noble thing to do is to say, raise up your hand and say, you know what, I messed up, I got it wrong. I assumed that things were meant to go smoothly. I didn't factor in all the other things that were going to impede the progress in the area of economy, area of security. Like you mentioned it there, it's what the president during the campaign said. He talked about focusing on the economy, while Kashim Shettima, the vice president, focused on security. And those are the two major issues that we're having in the country at the moment. We'll get to that anyway about the Arise news correspondent. Okay. But the point is this: those promises, when you look at the president, the highest office in the nation, and then the second highest office in the nation, who decide to take upon a specific responsibility that's outside their direct jurisdiction. And then you see the irony is that those responsibilities that they decide to take upon are now the biggest hotbeds of concern for Nigerians. It makes me question the competence of those who.
Competence is always a valid thing to question, and that's a good point, Mr. CC. Yeah. Mr. Alex, what is most evident today is that the traditional military parade that many people would have expected is not holding as planned. The president has in fact made it clear that that's not going to happen. And we saw this replicated on Democracy Day as well. So we don't have those traditional march pasts that we all look forward to. We're being asked to reflect in a somber manner about progress since 1960. What's your take?
Well, clearly, this wouldn't be the first time a government would postpone celebrations. But when a celebration for your independence is postponed or announced to be low-keyed, it tells you a few things. If the government is proud of what they're doing, you hold a parade. So because each time there has been a celebration, people will criticize it. People will say monies are being wasted. But nobody complained on the 1st of October 1960 when the celebrations happened. because that's the Independence Day. I don't know of any nation that wouldn't be proud of their Independence Day. Look at China, look at the US, look at Egypt. When it's their national day, you come out with pride. If the nation has a challenge, we all know it. But there has to be a day that if you want to celebrate, you celebrate with your full chest. Don't hide behind an announcement that's going to be low-key. That's what I'm saying. I mean, the money is there. Even if they are not spending it on this celebration, it will still be spent on something absolutely relevant. So why not hold the parade?
Okay.
Because the truth of the matter is that there are people growing up who don't actually know what the Independence Day celebration is about. You'll be shocked.
Is this the APC-led government shooting themselves on the on the foot regarding what happened yesterday? Yeah, the president of the nation was in Imo State because of the book launch. Part of the reason why he was there, 1 decade of progressive governance. Also, APC's 10 years of achievements. So you're putting out a book of this magnitude, right? Bringing out the achievements of APC-led government for 10 years, by the way. But you are telling us not to, we should go and have some reflections of
No, just
of
some
the
clarity.
nation.
The book was published by the Imo State governor.
Yeah,
so that's on his part. But the direction you're going,
no, I'm
yes,
talking about he's still in the government.
Right.
Literally, can actually call Hope Uzodinma President Tinubu's PA. You know, people critics will say that because all the time, anytime there are guests or whatnot, you see President with Hope Uzodinma in Abuja instead of Imo State, by the way. So is this not APC shooting themselves by themselves? You know, calling off the parade, the celebration of Independence Day, our birthday, by the way, just for sober reflection. But you're rolling out 10 years of achievements of the APC-led government.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with this, with celebrations. And just like I said, whether they have the celebrations or not, the monies will still be squandered. So they should better have the celebration. So it will be on record it was done. And again, well, it's a good thing that the president moves around. What I don't like is him choosing only to fly abroad. The president should move from state to state. He is the president of the country.
People have questioned his priorities, especially following some incidents recorded, insecurity and the rest. They're wondering if visiting Imo at this time was priority. That's what the segments of critics is saying about that.
There's nothing wrong with the president visiting Imo. I think that sometimes people should also put it in perspective. He is the president, but there are things I expect that the president shouldn't be attending to. There are people who should be attending to those things. There are state governors, there are local government chairmen. There are things I do not expect the president of the country to personally intervene on, especially if something happens here. I expect that there should be first responders before the president comes in. Even in the US, the only time you see the National Guard is when it becomes out of hand. Then the president will order the National Guard to that state. So Nigerians must also understand that within their own jurisdiction, immediate jurisdiction, they have to hold their own elected officials accountable before jumping to Abuja to blame everything on. There was a time former President Obasanjo said, everybody says Obasanjo is their problem. If you have a problem in your house, it's Obasanjo. If you cannot drink beer, it's Obasanjo. So, but it's easy to always, put the president on the spot like that. Okay. But
let's look at the matrix now. Nigeria at 65 stopped speaking ill of Nigeria, according to President Tinubu. Now, during an interview yesterday with a certain stakeholder, I said, how do you not speak ill of a country? And of course, when you speak ill, that affects its image globally. How do you not speak ill of a country when it has portrayed itself as somewhat of a repeat offender? Because as you try to clean up this dust, someone else is flapping dust elsewhere. As you mop up this puddle, someone is opening a tanker elsewhere and without buckets to catch the water. While that was going on, the conversation about revamping Nigeria's image, I pointed out what happened to the Arise TV news anchor, producer, and former Miss Tourism Nigeria. What happened to her? So fresh developments, as revealed by Daily Trust, have given more information around the circumstances around her death, as well as the crew as well. They did do that on their morning show. So this group of armed men were robbing houses, going house to house, robbing people. And she, the victim, was overwhelmed by panic. So she eventually jumped from the 3rd floor of her apartment and she landed on the concrete. You can imagine that was some severe impacts to land on concrete at that time of the night. We're looking at around 3 a.m. when this happened. And these men were said to have overpowered security personnel with superior firepower, right? In a country that seems to be taking security seriously. This is happening right in our backyard, Katampe, Abuja, that is supposed to be one of the safer areas to live in Abuja. And at the same time, we're being told not to speak ill of Nigeria when Nigeria is in itself speaking ill of itself by this kind of events. So now this young lady, 29 years old, should have been 30 this year, has lost her life. She was panicking. She jumped. And somehow you can't take it away from the job, because the job itself exposes you to a lot of information that could make you aware of what could happen, the gravity of attack that could happen if these people get into your neighborhood, right? So ultimately, you jump, you're scared, you panic, you don't downplay the implications of armed men coming into your house. She's gone now, and we're left with the impact. Nigerians are mourning. Half of the Arise TV crew cried on set yesterday as a result of what has happened to their colleague. So how can Nigerians speak better of the country in the midst of such events, Mr. Alex? And how would you respond to the fresh information that has come out concerning her tragic death?
Well, first of all, my condolences to Some Madagu's family. That's a problem, and that problem is multifaceted. One is security. Two is how we handle emergency health cases. So if someone shows up at the hospital needing medical attention, what should be priority? There's a lot of I am Oga attitude in our hospitals. The doctor must clear before you enter. You know, all this, the kind of things you see in secondary schools where bullying are heavy. Why would you not accept a patient first and administer some treatment before trying to find out who the person is? It just beats my imagination, because now there has been security breach and she tried to escape and something happened to her. There should have been security while she lives in. And in Abuja, of all places, you would expect that there were contracts to have CCTV cameras all over the place. But just somehow, things like this have happened there. So it really beats my imagination how you can keep a cool head and not go off tangent and talk about Nigeria in a way that would not be flattering. Because at the end of the day, when you are angry, you have to show that you are angry. But I still believe that even in the midst of our anger, we have to find a way to be positive about our nation. I am an optimist. I believe that this country is redeemable. Some people believe that we've gone beyond the path of redemption. But I believe that there's still time for Nigeria's ship to be steered back into its proper course. But what needs to happen is that the politicking must step aside and let real nation building start. Because right now, nation building is not on. I see politicking. Because if a governor of a state will leave his state and go to Abuja just to wave bye-bye at the president, it should break your heart. Nobody in the US will try that. So how do you explain that a governor will do that? So that's not nation building. Nation building is you stay in your state and inspect what's going on and look at the things to be done and address the problems in your state, especially if your state has some serious security challenges. Every minute you are going there to wave bye-bye at the president.
How does he wave bye-bye at Mr. President?
And then if there's someone who's trying to visit the president, you show up there immediately.
Mr. Alex,
and you welcome the person.
Is your own heart broken?
Is it like this?
So
is it like this?
At the end of the day,
right now.
because these are some of the things we're saying, is this sycophantic leaning that is costing the country daily. If people do their jobs, there wouldn't be any need for a sitting governor or a minister or anyone to stand and wave at the president. The US president travels all over the world. You've never seen the Senate president or even the highest ranking officer in Washington, D.C. coming to wave at him at the airport.
All right, Oji, go ahead.
So same the matrix, right? Right here. Dismisses also. I'm talking about the Nigerian at 65 speaking ill of Nigeria, stated by President Tinubu. So one of the clauses right here dismisses genocide claims, says no religion is under siege in Nigeria. Over the weeks now, been hearing international communities talking about Nigeria and how they're killing Christians, right? Yeah. You're a clergyman. Can you talk to this?
Well, I think first of all, it's the height of insensitivity. And I'm going to actually agree greatly with what Mr. Alex has said. You have to be an optimist, no matter what. That's even one of the ways to maintain your sanity in the country. You have to just know that there's power in words, power in positive words, because as I will say it everywhere I go, I'm a Nigerian. I love my country. I value my country. That's even what makes me annoyed when I see the maladministration and the insensitivity and the shenanigans that are being played there, the Orwellian shenanigans. That's what I'll call that, based on what happened in Animal Farm that many of us are familiar with. But still, it doesn't stop me from speaking about what's going on, about what can be. But when you speak about what can be, you also have to address what is, so that it can be adjusted. And for somebody to come out there, because it's not happened to you. There are people who I call NIMBYs. NIMBY is an acronym, NIMBY. That's not in my backyard. So things don't concern them as long as it doesn't happen within their own jurisdiction. Their children are not being kidnapped. Their relatives are not being killed by religious extremists. So they will go there and say boldly with their full chest that no religion is being persecuted. When they start say otherwise, it took an atheist to actually make this clarion call outside there, and now the usual denials are going about. I don't even give them the dignity of responding to them, because they are playing to the galley very, very clearly. But the reality on ground is this: persecution is going on. People are being killed for their faith, for their convictions, and it's a reality on ground, and it's an indictment on the authorities that be the security forces, and of course, ultimately the let me not call the highest office. But the point I'm trying to make is this: we must speak positively concerning our nation. We must bless Nigeria. We must say things. We must pray over the nation, because our speaking peace to the nation affects the peace of the nation generally and our own peace. But we must also speak truth to power and tell them when they're lying blatantly. And those who have decided to speak and then lie about the situation that's happening right now, the religious situation, they should be ashamed of themselves. That's all I can say.
All right. Mr. CC, I'd like you to briefly respond to this incident surrounding the anchor for Arise TV, because I understand that you've been, right after the show, we did stand and have a chat around it,
yes,
and you still had some passionate things you'd like to share, so you can go ahead with those.
Okay, now, first of all, once again, my heart goes out to Somtochukwu Madago. It was a terrible thing. Young lady in the prime of her life. She would have turned 30 in December. Well, when you check the different, the most important thing is that she's dead. That's the most important information that we have right now. She's dead. She's passed away. Circumstances and speculations surrounding the circumstances are valueless unless they are concretized. But from the information that we got yesterday, that I got from a source that is normally reliable, when she, of course, just like now, like you said, Nathalie, she panicked, and naturally that adrenaline rush was there. She jumped out of that, I think the third floor, and landed on the concrete. The impact, of course, devastating, and she was crying for help. And the first responders who should have gotten there earlier got there. By first responders, I'm referring to the police force, according to the report anyway. The police landed there. Then she literally begged them to take her to the hospital. Now, this is not me casting shades on the police, but the response was something that we normally hear from time to time. Say, okay, we do not have fuel in the vehicle. You're patrolling there. It's possible that you don't have fuel, but to say something that's insensitive at that point, now this is an allegation. It may not be proved. We don't know. I don't know whether it's true, but the fact that it's coming out like this, they did not take her. They said they don't have fuel. Probably they were being truthful, or they were waiting for money to go and get fuel, or just something. But eventually she got to the hospital. And then when this whole ID issue came about, she passed away. These are issues that could be avoided. That's what I'm saying. So it's sad that it happened, but it should be a wake-up call. Now, she was our colleague, a media personality, and naturally a celebrity in the spotlight. So there's a lot of scrutiny. Now imagine if this had happened to the average Jane Doe. or John Doe. It wouldn't have received this kind of coverage, which is concerning. So the point I'm trying to make is this. It is a pointer to a systemic failure. A systemic failure of our security, systemic failure of our health system, systemic failure of different areas in the country that needs to be worked on. Because I know that in places like the United States of America, you have a sizable chunk of the budget that's channeled towards health. You also have the health insurance scheme working very well. Everybody gets in there. The moment the person lands there, based on the Hippocratic oath that is sworn, everybody that is sick is attended to. They then look at the paperwork later, but first save the life.
That's right.
Now, that's the sad reality on ground.
Thank you so much for joining the broadcast today. I mean, we're already out of time for the review, but I'm sure we'll continue this conversation perhaps off camera. So I can't say bye-bye to the both of you.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll say hello right after the show. Bye.
Yeah,
Right
I know why she's saying bye-bye.
Oh, yeah.
She wants me to demonstrate how...
Okay. So I didn't.
They should stop it. It's not nice. Going to the airport to wave bye-bye at the president is shameful.
Okay, thank you once again for joining the show today. We'll continue this conversation maybe over coffee after the show. Thank you once again. The Banter returns in seconds, and when we do return, we bring you insights from the presidential visit to Imo State yesterday. Stay tuned.